Imagine waking up 50,000 years ago with a pounding headache. No painkillers, no antibiotics, no hospitals, no doctors. Just freezing air, a dark cave, and the distant roar of predators somewhere beyond the firelight. Now imagine something even worse. You've broken your leg while hunting. An infected cut slowly spreads across your arm. Your child develops a high fever in the middle of winter. Today, most of us would reach for a phone or drive to the nearest emergency room. Back then, there was no one to call. Or was there? Before we continue, I have a question for you. If you were suddenly transported 50,000 years into the past, what do you think would be the biggest threat? Wild animals, starvation, or disease? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to see what you think. For generations, we've been taught that prehistoric humans lived short, brutal lives where even a small wound meant certain death. But modern archaeology tells a very different story. A story far more surprising. Because despite having no modern medicine, no pharmacies, and no scientific understanding of bacteria or viruses, our ancestors survived for tens of thousands of years. Not only did they survive, they spread across every continent except Antarctica. They crossed deserts. They endured ice ages. They sailed across oceans. And eventually, they built the civilizations that gave birth to modern medicine itself. So how did they do it? The answer isn't a single miracle. It's thousands of years of observation, experimentation, failure, and collective wisdom passed from one generation to the next. Modern medicine didn't suddenly appear inside a laboratory. It evolved, one painful lesson at a time. And what you're about to discover may completely change the way you think about our ancestors. Because the very first medical school on Earth didn't belong to humans at all. Long before people wrote books, long before temples, long before cities, the greatest teacher was nature itself. Every day, prehistoric hunters watched animals with incredible attention, not just to hunt them, but to learn from them. Today, scientists call this phenomenon zoopharmacognosy, the ability of animals to treat themselves using natural medicines. Chimpanzees, our closest living relatives, have been observed swallowing rough leaves whole. Not because they taste good. In fact, they're extremely bitter. The rough surface acts almost like sandpaper inside the digestive tract, helping remove harmful parasites. Even more fascinating, chimpanzees deliberately chew the bark of certain trees containing natural antibacterial compounds. Without understanding chemistry, they somehow know what works. Bears provide another remarkable example. In North America, grizzly bears chew the roots of the osha plant, mix it with saliva, and rub it through their fur. The mixture helps repel insects and soothe irritated skin. Now imagine you're an early human watching this happen. You don't know what bacteria are. You don't know what parasites are. But you notice something important. The sick animals recover. So the next time your child develops stomach pain, wouldn't you try the same plant? This simple act of observation may have been the beginning of medicine itself. Here's something I'd love to hear from you. Do you think humans invented medicine or simply copied nature? Type nature or human below before we continue. Generation after generation, these observations became shared knowledge. Certain roots eased pain. Certain leaves stopped bleeding. Certain plants were deadly. And slowly, a prehistoric medicine cabinet began to take shape. But the next discovery proves our ancestors weren't simply collecting herbs. They were performing treatments that sound surprisingly modern. And one of them eventually inspired one of the most famous medicines in history. Thousands of years before pharmacies existed, people were already building nature's first medicine cabinet. One of the oldest remedies was medicinal clay. Ancient Mesopotamians used it as early as 2500 BCE to treat wounds and skin infections. Egyptian healers later applied clay to reduce inflammation and protect damaged tissue. Then came one discovery that still lives on today. More than 3,000 years ago, people chewed the bark of the willow tree to relieve pain and reduce fever. They had no idea it contained salicin, the natural compound that eventually inspired modern aspirin. Sometimes, survival came from observation rather than understanding. Ancient Egyptian medical texts, including the famous Ebers Papyrus, also describe using honey to dress wounds. Today, scientists know honey naturally slows bacterial growth, but ancient healers learned that simply because patients healed faster. Quick question. Have you ever used a natural remedy that actually worked? Share it in the comments. You might be surprised how many people still rely on traditional medicine today. But herbs and clay were only the beginning. What archaeologists discovered next shocked the scientific world. Because 31,000 years ago, someone performed a successful surgery that many believed was impossible. In 2023, archaeologists made an astonishing discovery on the island of Borneo. They uncovered the skeleton of a young person who had lived 31000 years ago. Part of the left leg had been carefully amputated, not torn off, not crushed, surgically removed. Even more remarkable, the bone had completely healed, proving the patient survived for years after the operation. This wasn't luck. It required knowledge, precision, and long-term care. And that wasn't the only surprise. Across Europe, Asia, and South America, archaeologists have found ancient skulls with perfectly round holes cut into them, a procedure known as trepanation. Many of these skulls show new bone growth, meaning the patient survived. Would you trust someone from the Stone Age to perform surgery on you? Let us know with a simple yes or no in the comments. If prehistoric people could perform surgeries like these, what else did they know that we've underestimated? The answer might be hiding in something we use every single day: our teeth. It may sound unbelievable, but prehistoric humans often had healthier teeth than many people today. Studies of ancient dental plaque show that hunter-gatherers rarely suffered from cavities or gum disease. Why? Their diet contained very little sugar and almost no processed carbohydrates. Everything changed when agriculture spread. More grains and starch fed harmful bacteria, leading to widespread tooth decay. Even ancient people found natural ways to protect their teeth. In Sudan, researchers discovered that people who regularly ate purple nutsedge had remarkably healthy teeth, thanks to its natural antibacterial properties. Here's a fun question. Do you think our ancestors had healthier lifestyles than we do today? Tell me yes or no before we move on. But perhaps the greatest medicine our ancestors ever had wasn't a plant. It was each other. One of the most powerful discoveries comes from Shanidar Cave in Iraq. Scientists found the remains of a Neanderthal man who had lost an arm, was blind in one eye, and suffered from severe arthritis. Yet he lived for many years. He couldn't have survived alone. Someone fed him, protected him, stayed with him. This reveals something extraordinary. Compassion may be one of humanity's oldest survival tools. Childbirth tells a similar story. As humans evolved larger brains, giving birth became far more dangerous than it is for most animals. For thousands of generations, mothers survived because other women helped them. Knowledge passed from grandmothers, midwives, and experienced mothers became one of humanity's greatest medical traditions. Who do you think was the first true healer? A hunter, a shaman, or a mother? Share your answer in the comments. Perhaps the oldest medicine in human history wasn't found in a plant. The next time you take a pill, remember this. Modern medicine wasn't created overnight. It was built on thousands of years of observation, courage, and shared knowledge. Our ancestors didn't survive because they knew everything. They survived because they learned, adapted, and never stopped helping one another. If this video changed the way you see human history, comment "Survivor" below. I'd love to know you made it to the end. And if you enjoy uncovering the forgotten stories behind our past, be sure to subscribe, because history still has many incredible secrets waiting to be discovered.